Now that you're warmed up and mobilized, we're gonna get to our ballistic work. Number one, we're doing ankle hops or jump rope if you prefer. Shooting for 4 sets of 50 reps on day one, and then every time you repeat this, week after week after week, add 25 reps. So that plyometric ankle hop just looks like this. My heels stay off the ground. It's my forefoot that's making contact. You can jump rope if you like. You can get a little bit of leg movement in some different directions. Play around with it, like a little boxer shuffle. That's going to be supersetted with a high-low plyo push-up. So high-low refers to our hand positions. So we start one hand high, one hand low, switch, switch, switch. It looks like this. One high, one low. Eight total reps, so that's 8 switches. So the ankle hops and the plyo push-ups, shooting for 3 to 4 sets, and then we can move on to our strength work. We have a circuit of 4 exercises to start. Number one is squatty squats. If you have something to elevate your heels, use it. If you don't have anything to elevate your heels, don't squat. For this squatty squat set, we're going to use a fairly narrow stance. Feet are about hip width apart, maybe even a little more narrow than that. Weights evenly dispersed through my foot. The first movement here is not sitting the hips back, it's pushing the knees forward. Full range of motion, hamstrings are on calves at the bottom. So the trajectory of my knees is forward, 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 and then they'll actually pull back a little bit at the end. Ideally, at the bottom of this squat, we still have nice tall posture. We're able to maintain relatively neutral spine. Squatty squats. If you need a challenge, you can add some extra resistance. Just take a weight, kettlebell, anything, gallon of milk, and do the same thing. Nice and controlled. Shooting for 20 reps total. Number 2 is a banded bicep curl. Pretty straightforward. This exercise is kind of a pump day. We're doing a little more isolation work and the reps get a bit high. Alright, so we got a band, we're going to anchor it, and curls. Pretty self-explanatory, shooting for 20. The next is a tricep extension. There's a couple different ways you can do it. We can anchor the band and go tricep extension above the head. Or, if you have a wall anchor, we can do both arms at the same time. Bend over so we can close the angle of the elbow, and then tricep extension. Shooting for 20 reps on those bicep curls, 20 reps on the tricep extension. Number 3 is a tuck up. This one's a nice little tricky core exercise. It's going to take a little bit of balance. So we're flat on the ground, and then we come up like you're trying to get your chest to your knees, and back down. Nice and smooth. You can touch your feet down in between reps, or if you want more of a challenge, keep them off the ground. Nice and controlled. If you feel like that's too easy, you can do a V-up. But it's quite a bit more difficult. So let's get mastery of the tuck-ups first, which is for 15 reps. So that's our first series, our circuit of exercises. Squatty squats for 20, banded bicep curls for 20, tricep extensions for 20, tuck-ups for 15. We're going to repeat that 3 times. Number 2, we have a one-leg calf raise with a bent knee. Probably earlier in the program we did a straight knee, which is focusing more on gastrocs. Now we're going to focus more on soleus. So I'm going to get my heel elevation. Anything you like that can bring your foot an inch or so off the ground. One leg at a time. Most of my weight's on my forefoot. My off leg is just floating. This time I'm going to bend my knee like I'm coming into a little mini squat. That knee stays at a fixed angle as I bring the heel off the ground. Little pause at the top, Little pause at the bottom. Nice and controlled. We're shooting for 20 on the left, 20 on the right. Number 2, we have band lateral raises. So finding a band that's in appropriate tension, anchor it, and we go into a lateral raise. Ideally, we get 180 degrees high overhead, which might mean that you rotate your hands so the palms are facing forward just a little bit towards the top. Right? So if you can find an appropriate band and get this full range of motion, go for it. As always, nice and tall, core stays tight the whole time. Let's say you can't find a band where you can do this range of motion. Just get to eye level and then back down. So best option, 180 degrees. Second best option, eye level, back down. And we're shooting for 15 reps. The last one is a side plank with a band external rotation. All right, how are we gonna do that? Well, best case scenario, we can anchor the bands to something. I'm coming into a side plank. I'm rowing, so my elbow's at the side, and now I'm going into external rotation. I'm finding that there's a little too much tension on the band. So, I'm going to find a sweet spot. Might have to finagle this a little bit. There we go. So coming back into that side plank, hips high, and externally rotating. Right? So from a side view, it would look like this. If you don't have anything to anchor it to, here's what we can do. Hold the band with your bottom hand and go into that external rotation. Whew, I'm breaking a sweat. Now I did a couple reps. So that's our B circuit. Single leg calf raise for 20, band lateral raise for 15, side plank with external rotation for 10 reps. I'm gonna repeat those 3 times. And that's your strength work for the day. Once you're done with that, move on to your final mobility series for the day. All right, get to it.